Alrighty, folks. Welcome to the show where you don't have to be a member of Tom Sandoval's band or a technical production member to get invited. It is Trainwreck Rules, and we are breaking down episode 2 of season 11 here on Vanderpump Rules, the ultimate betrayal. And looking for someone that'll never betray you? Let's get him in here. It's AQ with the Strixon merch.
I betrayed you once. I'll never do it again.
Love you. That's why we're sailing on the top of Titanic, but we're not sinking tonight. We're getting into it. The Ultimate Betrayal. Pretty okay episode. We were kind of agreed. A little bit of a lull in the middle, but again, another VPR episode in the books. Ultimately, I think it achieved what it set out to do.
It's setting up for a lot of drama, right? We know Jax is coming back. We know there's going to be a bunch of drama with Scandival. This was just kind of reintroducing him. We just got some beta fish at my house, and it took like a full day to introduce them into their water. And I feel like that's the way VPR is going so far here with these first couple episodes. Is like, let's just get back in this before we really kick off the drama.
Seriously, it's kind of like that part on the roller coaster when you get all the way up there. And yeah, we're getting ready to go down like crazy. And we're starting going down like crazy with Sandoval back. So obviously, I think this is a good production decision by them. Basically had him absent for the first episode. This episode felt very Tom-centric. He had big segments at the beginning, big segments in the middle, and big segments at the end, obviously. The end was a bit of a producer moment, in my opinion, as we'll get into that. But again, overall, the episode was okay. I thought it started strong. The pump closing storyline, and that was, I thought that was awesome. I thought we were kind of looking back at all the awesome moments. And by the way, it's such a Lisa Vanderpump and Ken Todd thing to just like close a business successfully. Like everyone else goes out of business or runs into some kind of issue and they have to close. They really spun the narrative, and it's like they kind of went out on top. Barry Sanders-esque from the Vanderpumps.
Yeah, I served a lot of time in the restaurant industry, and most don't get to close on their own and on their own regard and go out with a party. So good for them. And Lisa steals the show every time. So it was good to see her. Good to see Ken getting some success. So I'm happy for them. And their hopefully soon planned retirement.
Seriously, we can't have Ken Todd walking the Hollywood pavement in his 80s, as Lisa said. But yeah, I thought it was a great check-in segment out the gate. James says the cactus-infested land of Arizona, which is an amazing way to refer to it. And I think I might have to refer to it as that going forward. But yeah, you get the pump montage. The other big storyline outside of the Sandoval is the Summer Moon nanny situation, which, like everything with Sheena, and I'm sure you're going to get into this, a little bit over dramatized, obviously, given the situation. I respect everyone's relationship with their kid. I do not have a child of my own, so I don't mean to, sound insensitive. But you can tell this was a little drummed up, so Sheena knew she had a big storyline early in the Scandival season.
Yeah, but shout out to Brock. It's pretty cool that he can call her out a little bit on that, because it is so dramatic. It is so over the top. And he was right. She surrounds herself with people that just will say she's doing everything good. The music thing is so cringy, and she continues to lean into that. I will say it was a little hypocritical of Brock to say, hey, you only surround yourself with yes people, but then he was like, oh yeah, you're also awesome at music. Like, she's objectively
Brock is literally the ultimate yes man.
Yeah, he really
is. He's evidence in his own argument. So shout out to him for realizing that for sure. We do get, as I mentioned, a middle Sandoval segment. This time he's getting lunch somewhere with Schwartz. This kind of took me aback here. He basically lists like his finances are in ruin. He does say Ariana hasn't paid bills for 8 months, which typically things get disconnected if you haven't paid for more than 2 to 3 months.
Correct.
But did this seem a little bit phony almost with how he kind of went through it? Because he cites about $1,500 in finances and acts like he's having some issue.
And first of all, too, like, what world does Tom Sandoval live in that, one, he needs an assistant, 2, he's paying for a gardener? Like, who are you? If you don't have this kind of money, why would you have a garden? Like, these people, the thing that drives me nuts about this, they live in such a weird reality, like, of like Sheena making music, like, and doing production, and Tom having a gardener. Like, who do you people actually think you are? And you're like going and doing DJ shows and sets like that. It's like, you are somewhat famous, but you got to really pump the brakes here with that type of lifestyle. But yeah, no, the finance thing seemed to be a little contrived, and really, like, they claim to have lawyers and stuff. This whole housing arrangement also seems a little contrived, maybe for the show of them staying together in this arrangement. Because I don't know, man, I've broken up with plenty of people, and I definitely even had apartments together with people, and those splits aren't always pretty, but like, you just want to get out of there. You don't want to stick around with these people.
That's a great point. The more like you bringing it to life, because it does make sense from an Ariana spite standpoint. I mean, we see spite is still very much on point. the interactions with Ann. By the way, God bless Ann, because she's just on the front line of a firestorm there. And
Hopefully Tom's finances are clearing to pay Ann.
I love when Sandoval was talking with her about his birthday party, and he goes, do you think she would potentially be okay with, like, a couple people till midnight? And then Ann really doesn't respond because she knows Ariana's not going to be okay with it, but she goes like, okay, I'll start texting her. And Sandoval just to himself goes, yeah, I'd be okay with a couple people just till midnight. And you start to see why this relationship got to the point it did. And I say that with all due respect, and obviously all of the awesome success Ariana has had.
I just turned 40. These people are all 40. Right?
Yeah, they're
and
in their 40s.
It's also so weird that he had like a 19-year-old's birthday party at his house. Like, hey, everybody come over to my house and drink for my 40th
That was
birthday.
absolutely a parents are letting us have a couple like 30s vibe at that party.
For sure.
Yeah, and speaking, okay, so then we got, again, it all kind of culminates in Sandoval's party, and that's one of the biggest I think this is a producer storyline. James coming to the birthday party. Ultimately, I do like understand maybe in their friendship they wanted to rekindle it, but this seemed like an absolute segment. My girlfriend pointed out, kudos to her, that it was like the producers probably set this up. Looked like James literally didn't even want to be there the second he walked in. Yep. Sandoval was kind of like milking it, almost like when you have someone's attention, you got it, and you go pay attention to other people because like you want it to last. That was the vibe that he had going on. Real quick before we get into this final segment, what were your thoughts on Allie's astrology business? Do you think that this has some longevity out in California?
Maybe in Cali. Again, California seems so detached from any reality that I understand. Like these people, like even Ariana doing DJ sets. Like who can just walk into a club and just start doing DJ sets and running a astrology business? Like, yeah, I guess maybe it has some legs, but again, this episode showed me like kind of how far out of touch with actual reality these reality stars are.
Yeah, seriously. And then we get into the final segment. Obviously Sandoval at his party. We get Schwartz showing up to the party, which is clutch. I mean, if you're Sandoval, you need Schwartz. We had a moment last week where James told Schwartz, the best Tom isn't Tom, it's Tom Schwartz. And I think that's true for Tom Schwartz. But Sandoval and Schwartz do need each other at the end of the day. And you see that in their personalities, especially as Allie was pointing out, the Libra factor with Schwartz. But you get James showing up to the birthday party. I did love Sandoval drops the ball here. But yeah, go on.
Yeah. I will say with the Tom and Tom, the cutbacks to all the moments that they've had.
Outstanding.
Like some of the best Vanderpump moments are Tom.
Yes, the Tom. There's a reason that Lisa Vanderpump was basically trying to use their NIL for her businesses.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure. No doubt about it. It wasn't because they were business savvy. Believe me, if you were looking back at those meetings, those two were just as clueless as it comes. But speaking of being as clueless as it comes, Sandoval gets a point basically in the friend court of law. James may have even dunked on him right after he did it. So maybe that was why there was some hesitancy on his point. But he goes back to like Kristen Doty examples, and it's the stuff that he was doing at the reunion last year. So it just shows a complete lack of growth. And it's crazy, but here we are in season 11, Vanderpump Rules, Aaron, and James is the one telling other people like, how to act and how to be mature and how to carry themselves. And it's crazy to see.
And Schwartz, like that was Schwartz's point at lunch, right? Like, dude, just say you're sorry. Why can't Tom Sandoval just own any parts of this without it being some asterisk or some throwback in somebody else's face? I mean, yeah, if you haven't figured it out at 40 years old through so many seasons of this, either it's contrived for TV or you're just a POS and you just are such a narcissist you can't get out of your own way. It seems like he's the narcissist.
So we will get some graphics. We'll get the producers on it. What was your show score for this week out of 10?
Out of 10,
not as good as last week, but still solid was my opinion.
Yeah, I forget what I gave it last week. I think it was like 6.5 last week. Yeah, I think this one probably lands around a 6.
Yeah, and again, this is on the VPR scale. This is a show that has 11 seasons. You compare this to the show that's in its first season. Of course, it's not comparable. I will say I agree. I think this is a 5.9. Solid episode overall. Again, not to be just everything, but it felt like it needed to be a little notch down. Again, the Sandoval parts were good and they were understandable. They added a lot of context, good to the story. Rest of the episode kind of felt like a lull for sure. And I'll kick it off. Poo-Poo Head of the Night. I really wanted to pick anybody else. I picked Sandoval last week after he wasn't even in the episode. But with how that ended, I just can't. I'm sorry, Aaron. And I know I might be stealing thunder here, but Sandoval becomes my first 2-time Poo-Poo Head of the Night.
I have it written Sandoval for life. Like, I think now that he's back, he's going to have a hard time. Just the way he is and the refusal to apologize, it's going to be hard for him to not be the poo-poo head if he's in an episode.
Seriously. Okay, so we had a slight down to the episode. Again, I think if you or I give above a 5, we still think it's a good episode. 5 is like the barometer for our pass or fail, in my opinion.
Yeah, for me too.
Vanderpump
5 is like
rankings.
acceptable.
Yes, exactly. Passing grade. So you got Aaron's power rankings from last week. Again, we're going to add these up at the end of the season. If you need a reminder on how these work, 1 through 5, 1 is the best. You get 1 point for 5th, 2 points for 4th, 3 points for 3rd, 4 points for 2nd, and 5 points for 1st. Aaron's rankings last week were Lala, Sheena, Schwartz, Ariana, James taking on the top spot. Mine were Schwartz, Lala, Lisa, James, and Ariana taking on the top. Why don't you start off on this one, AQ?
All right, so going in order here at 5, I have Ariana. She barely made it in. It was a lack of really any other storylines in this episode, I think, that got her in here. At 4, I've got Schwartz. At 3, I've got James. James having a strong season here so far for me. At 2, I've got Brock, just because that couldn't have been easy for him to stand up to Sheena and her mom when Sheena was kind of being a wacky there. And I really, that was good for him. And then number 1 for me is Lisa. Them being able to retire, highlighting Lisa. She made the great joke of Ken being 80 and her being 40. I love that. I love Lisa's vibe. So Lisa takes the top spot this week for me. Oh, you're muted. I can't hear you.
Mute monster. That'll be happening, folks. Sorry. Okay, so we are close on some of these. I got Ariana at 5. I got, for the obvious reasons, again, not an Ariana heavy episode, but any vibe she was on, she was doing what she needed to do. She was doing Ariana business. Number 4, I got Sheena actually on this one. I know we were talking about the over dramatization of it, but being a parent and letting go is tough. So I'm going to give credit in that regard. I think we already talked. Brock's just a yes man to me. I appreciate you having him on your list. I appreciate you getting him there because Brock's not going to have many power ranking opportunities. So I see it. Number 3, I got to go Allie. Business promotion. I mean, she just got a free ad on Bravo in the middle of probably 1 million viewers. So kudos to her for that. 2, James. So we were close on that one. Again, James having a very strong season, just continue to be a mature character, continue to be the best version of DJ James Kennedy. And number 1, Lisa Vanderpump. When your business ends, you do it on a high note, not going out of business. Well done, LVP. But yeah, so tell us what we got right, what we got wrong. But I'm loving this ride, and I can't wait for next week already.
Yes, sir.
All right, folks, make sure you're subscribing. Make sure you're following along. And make sure you're making sure that this is not the restaurant you take your wife to. It's the one you take your mistress to. Have a good night now.